What's going on, people? Welcome back to another Jstv back again. It's a Jstv special. I've got Dan Potts with me from Aftv and a YouTuber. Dan, thanks for coming on, man. How are you doing, bro?
Listen, you're welcome, man. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, brother. And I appreciate you inviting me. Things are good right now. I'm a little bit nervy with a couple of games to go, but I've just got to accept now that anything's a bonus if we can lift this trophy because we're up against one of the best. So that's where I'm at right now. But how are you, man?
I'm absolutely fine, Dan. Really, I'm fine. Just got a busy day ahead of us after work. After I spoke to you, I got to go to John Lewis's. I've got to do things, go to the gym later, that sort of thing, So it's all good. How's things with you? You good?
Nice. Yeah, really good, man. Enjoying this bank holiday weekend. It's been family, football, and friends, so I can't complain, brother. A little bit of sunshine involved as well, which is
Yeah.
also nice, bro.
Fantastic stuff, fantastic stuff. Guys, like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Do follow Dan Arsenal E87 as well. Also check on Dan Potts as well. And top guy as well. So what we'll talk to Dan is a bit about Arsenal, a bit about Newcastle, right? We're going to talk about a bit of Arsenal first. Another fantastic season. Last season, got it for you, 8 points clear. And you kind of bottled it, in my opinion. But this season, Mikel Ateta rectified it. He bought in Declan Rice for 105 mil. And for me, I think this guy's been absolutely fantastic, Declan Rice. And I think Arteta has done a better job.
Listen, Declan Rice has been phenomenal. And what I will say is for £105 million, people will look at it and say it's extremely pricey, very expensive signing. Nobody's mentioned that once because he's been worth every penny. He's been phenomenal. Every single time this guy plays in the 6 role, in the 8 role, he's been phenomenal for Arsenal. He's picked up, I think it's been out of the games he's played, it's something crazy like 17, 18 times he's been player of the match. That's phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal in a first season for any player. But for him to have the highlight on him, to have the spotlight on him, to everyone be talking about the fact that if this guy does not prove himself, it's going to be a waste of money for Arsenal. No one's mentioned that once. So for me, I just think it's his all-round play. I think playing in that midfield, his drive, his ball carrying, but also his interceptions. I think as well as his physical presence, he's got the leadership qualities off the field and on the field as well. And I think he's handled the media exceptionally well. I think when you come into a team of 24 years old, that's a young side yourself, you'd like to think that you're one of the guys that fits in with the rest of those players that are around a similar age. And I think for me, he's been one of the leaders in the team. And if we were to do the unthinkable, because everyone believes City will win it, if we were to lift the trophy at the end of this season, I'll be looking at him as being the reason why, because the signing's been phenomenal, John. It really has.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you as well there. I mean, look, you needed a CDM. You got this guy. He's absolutely fantastic. Wish you had him at Newcastle, but that's never going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, look, you look at other players who've got as well. I mean, I'm impressed with Ben White. I mean, he's been better, a right back for me. And also your centre-back pairing of Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes as well. Those two has been absolutely a rock at the back. Raya's coming as well. Did a bit as well. I mean, look, can be a bit hairy at times, but he's a fantastic keeper in my book. And then, yeah, let's talk about the centre backs, Saliba and Magalhaes. I mean, fantastic.
Yeah, they are, man. I think Gabriel has been one of the most underappreciated signings from Arteta's reign. The last 4 years, we've had this guy, and he's just got better and better. And there's no denying he was a little shaky and a little bit rash at times. But I think what Saliba's signing's done since he's come in is he's just calmed him down. He's just been a calming head. He's been really composed.
Yeah.
I've not seen a defender this young be this good for a very long time. You know, I see Tony Adams at a younger age, but nowhere near this young. And people that I know that saw Tony Adams at that age said he was nowhere near Saliba's level. Rio Ferdinand's probably the closest I can talk about in my reign of seeing someone at 20, 21 years old look so composed. I think Saliba's at that level. I really do. And I think that if he can be as player that Rio was, I think we've got an unbelievable talent on our hands. And I think the partnership just complements each other so well. And I mean, even at the weekend, you saw Gabriel lose his battle once with Solanke and Saliba was there to sweep up. I think that's a real kind of compliment to both of them. You know, we've seen Saliba do the same, where we've seen a mistake from him. All defenders make mistakes, you know, and I think the pair of them have been phenomenal. And I think the trio with those two and Rice in front are the reason we are where we are. You know, the clean sheets we've had, they've put some steel back in Arsenal. When you line up in the tunnel now, you mentioned Ben White, you know, Declan Rice, Gabriel Saliba, you stand next to these people, they tower over you, you know, you kind of win sometimes the game in the tunnel. And I think we've done that at times. People will look at Arsenal now and go, wow, they ain't got no soft underbelly anymore like we used to have perhaps under Arsene Wenger years ago. And I think Ben White, for me, in the year of 2024, has been one of our best players consistently. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. Like on the ball, he's so comfortable. He looks great going forward and overlapping with Saka. Really comfortable one-on-one defending. And what I love about Ben White, he's a fan's favourite because he's got a little bit of that shithousery about him, where he'll come up against somebody and really give it to you. So I'm a big fan of the three of them. I think there's been problems at left back with Arsenal in terms of some of the injuries that we've had. Timber was a massive blow. We signed him and everyone was excited. Real miss. Zinchenko, for me, defensively has massive frailties. And Tomiyasu is the guy that I would be playing there now. I think he's proved himself. Aerially, he's great. Strength, one-on-one defending, really good. And versatile, can play across that back four. And Kivior deserves a mention. He's come in at times and played there well. So I think when Timber comes back, it looks like he'll probably be our left back moving forward. But defensively, Arsenal have been fantastic. And I think with David Raya, you mentioned, I don't think it's been a huge upgrade on Aaron Ramsdale, if I'm honest. I think Aaron Ramsdale's a very, very good goalkeeper. But I think the attributes have actually helped us playing out from the back. I think with his feet, he's a lot better than what Aaron Ramsdale was. But I do still have question marks over whether David Raya is the number one at Arsenal for the future. It might be that he's good at the moment. If there was a Michael Mannion or a Diogo Costa or a Jan Oblak available in the summer, I'd rather go for somebody like that and keep Raya as backup. But I think Mikel Arteta's found his number one, if I'm honest, and David Raya seems to be that guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, sort of thing, I'm sure Ateta will find a keeper in the summer if he's a world-class keeper. You went to Diogo Costa, I rate this keeper. He is really good. He really is. And the guy from Valencia is after as well. Midfield is after him as well. And he's a fantastic keeper as well. So, yeah, let's go into your midfield. Like toward the Declan Rice. I mean, Thomas Partey, he gets in and out as well. The one I love as well for you guys is Trossard. I think for me, he's had a wonderful season and didn't cost much, but he's had a wonderful season and he's been a key player as well.
Yeah, he has been phenomenal. And you forget how many goals he scored this season. He's the second top scorer behind Saka. And what I love about Trossard is that he's an impact player and he's now starting to score goals when he starts the football games. And that's where a lot of people had question marks. And people love Martinelli. I'm a big fan of Martinelli. He's had a quiet season. He's had a disruptive season. But Trossard's been there to clear up, and it's not been noticeable on that left-hand side because he's been phenomenal. And I think with Thomas Partey fit, he definitely plays. Jorginho deserves a mention for when he has been out because he's been good. But the one that really complements that trio is Martin Odegaard this season. He is phenomenal to watch, man. And the creativity on the ball is outstanding. His vision, his pass range. And I just think he drives us forward and he leads by example. And he's a different sort of captain, John. He's not the one that barks orders and he's not the Roy Keanes or the Patrick Vieira style of captain, but he leads by example. He leads by the press. The work rate is just unbelievable how much ground he covers. And he's just an exciting player to watch. And then, of course, you've got Saka, who, a lot of people will say hasn't had a very good season where he's had 33 goals and assists. If that's him in not a very good season, then let's have him in a good season and see what he can produce because he's been really good, man. And I do think this guy gets a little bit of stick harshly. I don't know about you, but I think over the years, if you look back to the players that were the top English players, they all got stick. Beckham, John Terry, Steven Gerrard, the likes of Wayne Rooney. These are the guys that used to get sort of magnified in performances. And Harry Kane, even, to be fair, is another one. But Bukayo Saka, unfortunately, is the one that everyone seems to want to, believe has to be scoring a hat-trick every game. Otherwise, he's not at the levels. And I just don't think that's fair. I think the guy's been phenomenal this year as well. And the stats don't lie, bro. Do you know what I mean? The stats don't lie. So I think we've been there and thereabouts. And I think, Trossard, as you mentioned, is one that I will look back on in a January signing at 26, 27 million pounds and think is a phenomenal buy for us. When you think we could have been linked with Mudryk at the time and we ended up getting Trossard, we definitely got the right man for sure.
Absolutely. 88 million quid on Mudryk. I would not have paid that money anyway. But he's got him, hasn't it? And he still hasn't come up to scratch just yet, to be fair, Mudryk. But he's getting there. But Trossard is just levels at this moment in time. I was going to come on to Saka. I mean, that guy's been phenomenal. I love Saka. I think he's a really good player. Martinelli's been a bit of a disappointment for me this season. I don't know about you, but he's been a little bit of a disappointment. I don't know if his form has dropped. I expected more from him, but it hasn't really done it this season. I just don't know why. Is it because of injuries he's had?
I don't think injuries have helped, but I'm not using that as a massive excuse. It's not like he's had
No.
an ACL and been out for all season. I think how Martinelli has struggled with, and this is a compliment to Trossard, really. One of the reasons is our left-hand side has been massively interchanging. We've had different left backs, we've had different left eights, we've had different left wingers and different centre forwards. On that right-hand side, it's been very much settled. We all know that Saliba and Ben White will play. We all know Saka and Ødegaard will play. I think on the left-hand side, apart from Gabriel as the left-sided centre-back, you don't really know who else is going to be there. And I think Martinelli has tried to be interchanged with playing Havertz at left eight, Vieira at left eight, Smith-Rowe at left eight. He's seen up top Kai Havertz, Jesus, Trossard, all play there. And at left back, he's had someone differently behind him, whether it be Zinchenko, whether it be Tomiyasu, whether it be Kivior. So I think he's tried to have a settled season and has struggled. But his form's definitely dipped. You know, he's running. He's got to improve to run without his head down. He's got to look more around him and find more spatial awareness. But there's no doubt he's a top talent. He's 22 years old. It's not like this kid's hit 30 and you know he's fallen off a cliff. The guy's a top talent. He's still got goals and assists this season. He's still had good performances. So I've got no doubt that Martinelli will be back next season for sure.
Yeah, fingers crossed he comes back. He's still young and he'll get better and better. And though I've got to talk to you about as well, I mean, people say it's been a controversial signing. Kai Havertz, 65 million quid. I love the song, by the way, but he had the best of starts to his Arsenal career, but he's stuck at it, yeah, and he's becoming one important player for Arsenal.
He is. He's been a good signing in the end. I didn't think he was going to be. I was quite vocal about it. Wow. And I didn't think he was going to be good whatsoever. The reason I knew he was going to be no good was because he was playing in midfield, and I've never seen this guy play in a left eight position for Chelsea. I know that he did a couple of times. It was a lot more forward thinking with Kai Havertz at Chelsea, and they weren't really getting the best out of him. And I just thought, why have we tried to take a massive risk when we should be going for a ready-made, proven player? But I tell you what, since the turn of the year in 2024, he's been one of our best players. He really has. He's been phenomenal. The goals and assists don't lie. He's been in and around every single game. And do you know what? He's a big game player. He scores important goals. You know, in moments this season, he's taken us to 3 points. And as a forward, I really wanted to see him more. Now, when we were playing him in midfield, I had no idea why we were trying to do it, and also why Arteta was trying to stick with it and just try and make it work. Sounded like we were just forcing him in the side, which was frustrating. And I really wanted to see him come on as a Olivier Giroud type player, where you fling him on with 25 minutes to go and just cause some havoc in the box. And he started to do it a couple of times and he was scoring. And I was like, there we go. That's maybe what he is, an impact player like a sub. 65 million is a lot of money for an impact player, but so be it. Then he's starting to start and he was starting to score. And I thought, oh, do you know what? He's going to take Jesus out the side here soon. And that's so be it. That's what he did. And up top, he gives us something a little bit different. He's an all-round 9, in my opinion. He can hold the ball up. He can link up. He's got his strength. He's got his attributes. But he knows where the goal is as well. You know, his finishing is actually very good. And he's got a good left foot. So I'll give him his props. I think him and Arteta deserve credit. I think it's worked for Arsenal. Certainly don't look at that signing and think it's a flop. And I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be another like Nicolas Pepe type signing at one stage. You know, I thought, oh, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this guy, and it's going to be a waste. But he's been really phenomenal in 2024. So I think people have got to give him credit, man, and the manager credit as well, man.
I've got to agree because you know, you got to give the player time and see what he does. And last couple of months, he's been excellent. So props, like you said, props to Kai, and let's hope he improves game by game and into next season as well, and hope you win your title. And I've got to talk about Ateta. I mean, look, he's sorting himself out. I mean, are you a big fan of Ateta, or do you think he's got a way to go? Do you think he's getting there? And how many months is it again?
Yeah, listen, I'm a fan of how he's got us challenging again. I'll tell you that. I've certainly made no qualms about it. That I've had huge question marks and concerns over Mikel Arteta, and it's more about the process, as people call it. Like for me, learning on the job and being in a management position for the first time, all that kind of stuff for me was a real issue. And I didn't want that at Arsenal. I thought 2 decades we've been waiting for a title. I wanted somebody to come in who had a winning CV, who had winning mentality, who could manage to get us into a position to try and get us across the line. And unfortunately for Mikel Arteta, there's always going to be the question mark from those that doubt him around, can he get us across the line? Can he do the unthinkable? Can he get us one better? And it's very difficult. You know, I've not been a fan of how we've gone and dumped out of the domestic cups. I think the FA Cup and League Cup was what I grew up on winning, and I think we should have definitely taken them a little bit more seriously. His record in Europe is not fantastic, and he's definitely going to have to learn to achieve more in that competition. But when it comes to the title, there's no doubt about it. Last season we should have won it, and we did bottle it, like you said earlier. This season, I don't think anyone's bottled it. I think 3 teams have gone for it. It's been a 3-horse race. I think Manchester City are the juggernaut that people have got to try and bring down to our level. And unfortunately for me, I just think that they're not going to lose another game, in my opinion, now. And I think it might just be too much of an ask for us. But I think that you have to look at what Arteta's done. Now, people will say, should he go if he doesn't win anything? At the start of the season, I was really towards that. And I thought, you know what? I'll rethink that again, and I'll say one thing. The context of how we've not won something needs to be taken into seriousness, because the consideration of what to do with a manager afterwards when they've just lost the league by a couple of points to Manchester City, I think would be incredibly harsh to sack. Now, there are some people like Northside and Lee Gunner and some of the others that are like, look, if he don't win, I want him gone. And I totally appreciate that you want a winning manager and you can't accept mediocrity. You've got to get somebody in the line that can do it. But I look around and I think the only manager that can probably do that is Carlo Ancelotti, and he's not going to leave Real Madrid yet. So we have to look at what Mikel Arteta can do for another year with another couple of players. And then he's got to get us across the line next season. Otherwise, we have to make that really difficult conversation and have that question about, will this guy ever get us across the line? And, is he going to be a nearly there type manager? Is he going to be a manager that Liverpool had in Brendan Rodgers, who they needed a Klopp? When Mark Hughes was at Man City, they needed Mancini. Ranieri was at Chelsea, they needed Mourinho. Is that conversation going to happen with Arsenal? I think it will if we don't win something next year. But the Cronkies are really happy with Arteta, and most of the fan base are really, really pleased with where we are. And I think he deserves credit for having us challenging 2 years in a row. And I think he's done a lot of good at Arsenal. I just need to know that he's the guy to get us across the line. And until he does that, factually, I'm going to have question marks over whether that can happen.
Hello, Dan. Can you hear us?
Yes, mate.
Dan? Sorry, I'm frozen, man. I'm frozen.
All right,
so yours is moving, isn't it? Mine's just not.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
You can still hear us, can you? Oh, fair enough. We'll just keep going then. If it goes, so I'll have to come back again, man. So
sure, no worries. I know
you're a busy guy. I'll talk about Newcastle United. I'm gonna have to agree with what you said about Ateta for me, sort of thing. And he's got to win your title at some stage. But let's go on to Newcastle.
Oh, he's gone, hasn't he? He texted him.
There you go. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. Back again. Good man. I can see you now and hear you. Go for it.
There you go. Right. I'm still going about Eddie Howe. Do apologise, by the way.
No, it's fine. No worries.
I mean, how good a job has he done at Newcastle United, and do you think he's big enough to take us to the next level?
Listen, I'm a huge fan of Eddie Howe, and I think the job he's done at Newcastle is great. I thought he was a brilliant manager at Bournemouth, to look at the job he did there, taking them from nowhere and putting them on the kind of Premier League map. But I will say that I do think that at times this season with Newcastle, his job's definitely been questioned. But when you look back at it, where Newcastle have come from and where they are now, potentially securing European football would be a good season for Newcastle, considering they've had a completely depleted squad. I mean, I look at what injuries Newcastle have had. It's scary. It's amazing you've actually been able to put 11 players out at any one point. And I look at the players that you clearly need in the summer. If you're able to spend the money that you want to, I think there's 5 or 6 heads that you need to try and get in the building. I know that's hard in one window, but there's some dead wood that needs to get out. But I think Eddie Howe's proven he can take Newcastle forward. Will he be able to take you to a title if that's what Newcastle want? Will he be able to win you a trophy? I have question marks because of the experience of Eddie Howe and what he could do there. Then you might have to look at somebody like a Simeone, Mourinho, Ancelotti, that level of manager who's got a winning CV that says, I can win you stuff. With Eddie Howe, I think he's done a phenomenal job. And it might be that he's that manager that gets you the foundation. And then in 3 or maybe 4 years' time, you think, right, Eddie's not quite got us across the line yet, but look at this team. It's ready now. Let's go and get that big name. Now, I hope that Eddie Howe can take you forward and he's your manager for 10 years and he's phenomenal. I like Newcastle. I've always had respect for them. I love the fan base. I think they've been through hell under Michael Ashley and deserve some glory. And I think you'll get it. I do. Whether that's a Carabao Cup, an FA Cup, Newcastle fans won't care. They just want a trophy to celebrate at Wembley, and they deserve that. But I've been impressed with Newcastle when they have been playing. The two players I love are the two players I'd love at Arsenal. It's not going to happen. But Bruno Guimaraes and Isak are the two that I look at and go, wow, you are special. Like absolute talents, elite ballers. Like I look at Bruno G, and I know there's rumours he might go this summer. I don't know how true they are. Linked with Arsenal, City, and PSG. I would love him. I absolutely would. I think he's a phenomenal player. Absolute phenomenal player. I think he can do everything in midfield. If you look at his interceptions, the fouls won, and the recoveries across the top 5 leagues, he's top. That is ridiculous for a player at Newcastle who are fighting for Europe at this season. Without no disrespect, that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And Newcastle will be disappointed if he left. They'll be very disappointed if both left. I don't think they will this season anyway. They won't. But they have got some exciting times around the corner for me, and they've just got to be able to ensure that this PSR doesn't get in the way of them trying to get to that next level, and that could be quite difficult. But I think the disappointing thing for Newcastle fans lastly this season is not just been the injuries, that's obvious, but the Champions League draw was so tough. It was absolute group of death, and I was so gutted that you went out, and I'll just look back now and I wonder, could you have tactically been a bit better in a couple of those games at the end? Maybe, but it's difficult against teams. I mean, Dortmund, you've seen, like they're in the semi-finals. AC Milan are a top side that go top of Serie A with Inter Milan racing with them. You've got PSG every single season that are winning the French league. That is a horrible group. We got a Europa League group, really, in comparison. I mean, the teams we had, Lens and Seville and PSV, Newcastle would have loved that group, but that's what happens when you sneak into that top 4 for the first time in a long while. But I've got no doubt Champions League will be coming back to Newcastle the following season. I think there's going to be, other than City and Arsenal, from 3rd to 10th is anyone's. Honestly, I really believe that.
Yeah, we give a couple more minutes, so I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate that. And like I said, I mean, talk about Bruno G and these, I come in every single day. All the press keep on saying that they're going to go to Arsenal next season, etc., etc. For me, I'd definitely be going anywhere. Like you said, Bruno's just bought a house up in Dallas Hall outside Newcastle. Isak loves to watch it in Newcastle, but if you can just build a team around those two players, I think top 4 could be on again. Do you think, Dan?
100%. Now, listen, I said you needed to bring in some names, and I don't know that the 5 or 6 players are all going to come in one window, but I look at the Newcastle team and the squad, and I think, that is a good side at the moment, but the reason you make that better is a little bit of strength in depth. I think there's no doubt qualms about it. You need another goalkeeper. If Pope's going to be the number 1, fair play. You need a backup. I think at left back, there's an issue for me. I like them, but Dan Burn, but I think you get an upgrade there. And I know Livramento and Kieran Trippier can be that kind of 2 there, but I think a left back would be needed. I think another centre half. I'm a big fan of Fabian Schär, and I think he's probably one of the most underrated and underappreciated players that you've got. And Botman's an absolute monster, but injury problems have really hurt him. So I think another centre half would be good. For me, I think you do need a little bit of creativity in midfield. I'm a big fan of Bruno, as I mentioned, and I do like what Joe Linton brings to Newcastle, but I think they're a kind of James Maddison type player is kind of missing at Newcastle. I think you could have that spark there. I think that one you look at to drive you forward. I think to upgrade on the likes of Willock and Longstaff and all them, I think would be really good. And I think maybe a right winger to replace Miggy, or at least upgrade on him or give some cover to. I think Gordon and Barnes have been brilliant for Newcastle when they have been fit. And then I think if Wilson goes, you're going to need to replace him. So we're talking about 5 or 6 heads there. I don't know if they're all going to come in one window, but you've certainly got a good 11. And I love those 2 players. I mean, I like a few of your players, but those 2 for me, I think Isak is just an elite baller, and I think after Haaland is the best centre forward in the league. I love the fact that he can play out wide as well, and I think Bruno Guimaraes runs the show. So yeah, man, they're my 2 that I stand out. And I mean, I don't think Arsenal will get both. I don't think Arsenal will get either of them, if I'm honest with you. But if we were to get to be linked, just to be linked with them is exciting because they're exceptional talents, man.
Absolutely. Well said on Newcastle. One final question as well. I have to answer this question, Dan. Can Arsenal win the league?
Well, listen, we can. But unfortunately, we're relying on Manchester City to drop points, and that's going to be difficult. I look at our last 2 games and their last 3 games, and we've got Manchester United at Old Trafford. we should be beating them. They're depleted. They've got no centre backs fit at the club. They're going to have to play Casemiro at the back and Johnny Evans. Now, if we can't get Casemiro and Johnny Evans, we've got problems. So, for me, I think we've got to take 3 points there. I think we'll beat Everton at home at the last game of the season. We normally do. Everton are safe now and they ain't got much to play for. So, I think that we will be all out for that. Manchester City, well, they got West Ham the last game of the season. They're getting pummeled at the moment by everybody that comes near them. So, I can't see them doing anything there. Tottenham, we know what Ange is like. He can't defend set pieces, high line. You found that out. We found that out. They've conceded 15 goals, I think, in the last 4 games or something mad like that. So, unfortunately, Spurs aren't going to be Spurs. You do Arsenal any favours, that's for sure. So, it really is for me on the Fulham game. And I think if Man City beat Fulham at the weekend, I really do feel like that could be it. We'll find out, won't we? They've got Fulham and then Spurs a few days later. And I think that will tell us if they win those 2. I think it's done. I can't see West Ham doing anything at all. So I expect Manchester City to win their 3 remaining games and win the title. All I can do is make sure that Arsenal win our last 2 and we sit and pray that they drop points somewhere. Our goal difference at the moment is +6 better, which means that they have got to start knocking in serious goals against Spurs and West Ham and Fulham, which they can do. So that could make things very, very difficult. We've got to ensure that we beat Man United comfortably and Everton comfortably so that the goal difference is on our side still. And then we just sit and pray the last game of the season that West Ham can pull off a madness for Moyes' last game and do something at the Etihad and try and draw if Spurs and Fulham aren't able to. And I just think this Manchester City side are ridiculously hard to beat. You know, we slipped up against Villa the other week. That was a poor result for us. But previously in Christmas time, we could have beat West Ham at home and Fulham away. And we'll look back at those 3 results now and really, really curse and frustrate ourselves about why we couldn't at least draw a couple of those and be able to get in front. So, yeah, it'll be difficult, man. But I think Man City will do it, unfortunately.
Oh, bless you. I hope Arsenal win it. I hope you do out of the 2. Do you know what I mean? Because it'd be a nice change if someone else won the title after 20 years. But Dan, thank you so much for coming on the channel, man. It's been an absolute honour to come on, man. And did you enjoy coming on?
Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you, bro. And I really appreciate you reaching out. I'm always happy to talk football. And I really do appreciate the invite. So thanks so much for having me on, man.
No problem. And can you just tell us where we can find you on your channel? So
of course, man. Yeah, of course, man. Listen, make sure you do us a favor, first of all, and smash a like on this one and subscribe to the channel for John. And if you do want to come follow me on socials, my Twitter handle's here. I've got Instagram as well now. So Dan Arsenal 87. And then my YouTube channel is Football's 12th Man. You'll see me on Aftv as well. But yeah, Football's 12th Man podcast, you'll see me as well. So yeah, appreciate the plug, man. Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome. And I'll go put the title in the description as well after the show. And guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, show Dan Potts some love. He's a fantastic guy. Speaks sense, the real one. And you know what? If you like the video, like what you watch, like and subscribe. And as always, I will do quick